सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः I know a little bit, so I can try or I can do it after you. Anyway.
Okay, I'll do first, then you can do it. Karturagneya prapyate phalam.
Karturagneya praptaye phalam.
Prapyate phalam.
Prapyate phalam.
Karma kim param karma tajjadam.
Karma kim param karma tajjadam.
Pritimaho dadhau patana karanam.
Pritimaho dadhau patana karanam.
Alam shashvatam gati nirodhakam.
Kalam shashvatam gati nirodhakam.
For a few of you, this in Hindi, it is phalam. But in Sanskrit, when you pronounce it, it becomes phalam. The ma is full.
Phalam.
So though in Hindi it is accepted as phalam, but when you are chanting it, it will become phalam shashvatam gati nirodhakam.
Phalam shashvatam gati nirodhakam.
Ishwararpitam nechaya kritam.
Ishwararpitam nechaya kritam.
Chittashodhakam mukti sadhakam.
Chittashodhakam mukti sadhakam.
Stop here for now. So what we are seeing currently is just to bring the whole context, remove all the technical terms, remove all the Purvamimamsakas and all. I'm just digesting it. What is the digested knowledge? In the digested state, the point made is karma is not a means, is not helpful. Karma is not helpful to gain liberation, to get liberation, to have liberation. Karma has no relation directly. It is not going to help directly in getting freedom. Forget liberation word. Karma will not be helpful, is not helpful for one's inner freedom. But karma is a great tool. It is a very useful means, tool for a human being. Only context is human life. In a human life, karma is a gift. It has come with human birth. Capacity for karma has come as a gift in a human birth. But it is like a two-edged sword. If karma is not utilized properly, it can create more problems. It will complicate life more. It will make people, it will give experiences which are unpleasant. Ultimately, it gives adhogati. Adhogati means it keeps making you move downward and downward in your existential state. As your existence you will find your existence in more and more difficult and tiring situations. Karma is a gift to human being. But if it is not carefully utilized, it can create a lot of problems. And a lot of problems means all inner. By external difficulties, it will create a lot of unhappiness, a lot of dukh ka karan banega. So a jiva will feel, an individual will constantly feel a sense of want and a sense of unhappiness and a state of unfulfillment. And all the lower states of mental health will be experienced by the person. All the lower states of mental health. They will start erupting. But because it's a gift, if it is utilized properly, it can spiral a person to a greater and greater, just the opposite of dukkham. It can give unfathomable joys to a person. Unseen gains can be experienced, and a sukham can come, a joy can be experienced, a happiness can be felt from within, which is not equated to anything else in life. It is an unequatable happiness that can be acquired through the right use of karma. This is a technique, this is a capsule that Shastra gives us, seeing the practical existence of human life. In human experience, most of human life goes away in managing and trying to get some happiness out of things. Shastra says there is a technique with which you can employ your own faculties and get what you desire. So this proper utilization of karma becomes the first part of knowledge. Because by ourselves, in our own natural state of human existence, we are only seekers of happiness, and the mode of our known happiness is our sense pleasures and emotional joys to some extent. This is our known, verifiable, रुक रुक के जो थोड़ा थोड़ा आनंद आता है, what my description of that happiness is lollipop happiness. Now, when you have, as a child, you have that lollipop and you're very happy. We get that lollipop happiness naturally through senses. You don't need education for it. Child also knows, everyone knows, it's inherent in survival. The instinct for survival, it's inherent in it. But if you want to know how to utilize karma and make it be experienced as a gift that it's intended for, then you have to know what are the components of karma and how to adjust within mentally. Adjust your attitude, your thoughts in such a way while you perform the karma that now you are able to remove that double-edged sword wala aspect, what binds you. You are able to extract it out, and the karma becomes purified, and that purified karma is now your asset. Janma Janmantar. It's not just now. It remains with you. Once you know how to extract that which binds you in a karma, once you've learned that technique, then automatically your karma is now beneficial. It is now something which is going to become a means for liberation. How do you do that? How do you make the karma? What is that attitude? What is the way in which you remove what is not wanted? How do you do that? By introducing to your mind a new factor, a new idea, a completely new thought a thought whose meaning, whose unfoldment is not vague, but is the very nature of the truth. That nature of truth is brought to mind in a thought form, and that thought form is Ishvara related. So you have introduced to your existing set of thoughts a new set of thought, but the nature of that thought that you have added to your mind will be something by nature. That thought topic itself pertains to Ishvara, the truth, nature of the truth. This is called, there afterwards, once you've introduced it, Ishvara Arpitam. And when done like that, obviously, the desire-riddenness of a person, which is binding a person, is now freeing itself. And this karma, which is a gift to human form, has got now the capacity to fulfill the desires also. The same attitude will make all your latent desires be fulfilled as if automatically. It's a very strange way in which it works. If you have had certain thoughts, desires, and you decided, I'm not going to pursue them, I will pursue Chitta Shuddhi, I will do karma in the spirit of Karam Yoga, I will do karma as ordained in the scriptures. It is meant to be followed because scriptures are not going to tell us something which is harmful for us. Agar karam aise karna chahiye mujhko, even if it is painful in the beginning, even if I don't understand it correctly, even if I see that it doesn't give me anything initially, I will still try to abide in it. And the law starts to unfold. We only say it a law because we do not know how it will work, but that it works and it's unfailing, that whatever desires you had are also getting fulfilled. And the fact that the binding nature of the desire, you're freeing yourself from it, and it becomes now the means to get your mind, antakaranam. Now this bundle of thoughts that you have are purified, sifted away. When you have this in the olden days, now you have everything ready. But in the olden days, if something came from the farm straight away, it had a lot of things to be sifted away. You sift away the raga, the dvesha, the ahankar, the smallness of the mind. From the action, you have removed away all those small elements that are because of the subjective view, and that action which has got now purified, this purified action now qualifies a person. The antakaran, the mind, has now reoriented itself. It has reshaped itself. The mind has now become mature. For what? Now to receive what is the nature of truth. The knowledge which pertains to the nature of truth, which means nature of oneself. So karma is a great aid. Without it, it is not going to be possible to remove the elements. It's like saying, if I've never, okay. So karma becomes a definite, positive, helpful means for yogyata prapti. It qualifies a person. Gyan ki yogyata, gyan prapti ki yogyata means I am now qualified to receive Atmagyan. When this antakaran of mine has got freed of its smallness, its limited view. How do you do that? How will you introduce? It says, to introduce in your action you first see what are your means of action जो आपके पास है. What are your ways in which you act? You have your hands and feet, you have your speech, and you have mind. Mind is also thoughts. So these are the three areas from where you can introduce Ishvara in your karma. These are the only places at which you can act. हाथों से कर्म कर सकते हो, वाणी से कर्म कर सकते हो, और मानस कर्म कर सकते हो. इन तीन कर्मों में तीन स्थान है ये, from where karmas can now be made converted, can be convertible. These are three places where they are convertibles. Action done at the level of the physical body, action done at the level of your speech, and action done in the mind. 3 levels. Now, when one starts initially, forget all this, because when one just starts a life wanting things, full of desire, as I said in previous classes, when Prakrit Man kehte hain, every human being is born in a state of impulsiveness. At that level, to introduce to a person straight away Ishvara is almost impossible in vichar. So, at the level of physical body, it is easy. Introducing Ishvara through actions is easy. It's like saying to someone, silly example maybe, but conveys well. If you really have deep affection for someone, and the intention of your affection is not revealable to the other person because it's inside. You are not able to express it adequately. And then, as the day has become popular, say tomorrow, if you receive a flower from someone or you've given it, what has happened? The gross flower or gift or whatever is representing to you something that is subtle. So, idea of Ishvara being very subtle is now grossified through physical form, physicality. And why is it along with truth? Because fact is that this individual जो आज सोच भी नहीं सकता ईश्वर के बारे में, भगवान के बारे में, सर्वव्यापी, in anything and everything, every cell of yours is only, in fact, the final truth is everything is only Brahman. This is the place where it has to arrive. This individual today who is not even able to perceive God, forget anything else, God as in, there is a higher entity, जो ये सोच भी नहीं सकता, जो सिर्फ busy है, खाना पीना, if you keep going into a lower form of human existence where there's so much struggle for minimum necessities of life, there is not much time in the mind to dwell upon topics in a leisurely way. So what is the way in which it is done predominantly, and it will be very easy to do, is to introduce, if every aspect of creation is finally only Brahman, then you can pick up any aspect of creation and visualize Bhagwan there. You can visualize Ishvara there. Ultimately, the truth is, everything is Ishvara, non-dual. That is the final truth. But to appreciate that final truth, which I may not see, I can't today, the starting point for a person who cannot see is this whole creation being Brahman. Even a stone is same, even a plant is same, even an animal is same, even water is same, even fire is same, even space is same, even any form of animal life is same. In anything, kan kan mein, as they say. Kan kan mein, vyapt hai. It is in any form and every form. This, to be able to say kan kan mein hai, is a very now advanced only in this. स्थिर हो गई है ये बुद्धि के भगवान सब में है. But starting point was, इसमें देख लो. Anyone, pick up a stone, pick up anything. So it started, I'm going to repeat myself because I don't want to be misunderstood. I'm not saying that idol worship is the point of Shastra. The point we are making is that any aspect of creation can be picked up to represent Ishvara. And that makes it, wherever you are you're projecting Ishvara on, that aspect seems to have a divine connotation to you. Because now you are attributing divinity into that deliberately. That becomes then Ishta Devata. Ishta means you're desired. It's that desired form in which you have decided to train yourself, I will say. To train this manaha, which is today embedded with a lot of fears and anxiousness and raga and dvesha and बहुत कुछ भरा पड़ा है इसके अंदर. तुमने उसको एक को उठा लिया है सृष्टि में, and through this, now it is going to become that needle extra to extract away from your mind all that chotapan that you have accumulated. Is this point articulated? Okay. So you have that one form is what is now your personal form. It doesn't mean that alone is God. In no way it is meaning that. But it has now become your contact point. When we go to Haridwar, you go to Rishi, you go anywhere, Varanasi, the place, the ghat at which you took out Ganges water from in your vessel to bring home, it was your vessel in which you brought, but the water was the same. Whether you picked it up at Gangotri or you picked it up at Varanasi or you picked it up right down Bay of Bengal. The flow was the same, but that flow you tapped where you could tap it. And where could you tap it is wherever your sthiti has brought you. Whatever is possible, you tapped it there. So starting point, I'm not saying that's a starting point for all of us. This is a text which is covering everyone. So for some people and for majority people, that will be the starting point. That is the Ishta Devata. This is now my personal associated form with the help of which in time I will be qualifying my mind, freeing my mind from the smallness and in time getting the Yogyata. This Ishta Devata now, if it is approached regularly through karma, and which is the physical karma which is the easiest, puja. That puja becomes the easiest because इसमें मन में ज़्यादा strain नहीं लगता है. You have nothing to think about. At this point, you're not thinking about the nature of God. You cannot. In fact, those people cannot. To them, that dependency of God factor is so high. They don't want to inquire about what is truth, what is God, is He there, is it not, what is Ishvara. तो बहुत बड़ा विचार है ये. It's a very developed thinking. But initially this development is not there. So for them, just physical action, staying for a few minutes in front of a deity every day, just every day, and in olden times it was twice a day or thrice a day, even if it's once a day, dhire, 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 and it's not so dhire also, that as I may say it, in a few weeks and months' time, now the body has, the laziness from the body has gone, the laziness from the mind has gone, and the action has become familiar to the person. Puja has become familiar, which started as very vague and awkwardness before. Nahi pata tumko kuch bhi. But with practice, now there is a knownness about it. And dhire dhire, there is an utpatti of a bhav. Please make note of the context in which I'm saying the context is the starting point. So the utpatti of the bhav that comes, slowly the bhav starts getting formed around that deity. जो आपने invoke, आपने बनाया है अपने इष्ट देवता. But as that comes, you start now getting more knowledge, information through all the stotras, through all, something or the other, whatever you have picked up as a means. All of them are embedded with the knowledge of Nirgunam. There is no stotra about any Bhagwan, any God, which will not have Nirgunam Vishay in that expression. So slowly what starts to happen in the mind, there's a transformation, there's a change that has happened. And the change may, now this Ishta Devata, initial, there is a lot of affection. Our teachers would say, you have invoked not just the Devata, you have invoked the devotee in you. You've not just invoked Bhagwan there, you've not just collected water in your vessel, you have started connecting to it. Where the distance was too much initially, वो पत्थर दिखता था, पत्थर पे क्या कुमकुम लगाना, क्या करना है, फूल चढ़ाना, it seems very silly. हम लोग तो, as a child, I'm sure all of us have laughed about it, or most of us would have. When we were given prasad, and we would laugh and joke with our mother, and we would say, अच्छा, very convenient this is, उसने थोड़ी खाना है, जो खुद को खाना है वो चढ़ा के फिर खुद ही खा रहे हैं. What sort of a, it would be very funny, and as a kid it would be very funny. He's not going to eat it. This patthar is not going to eat it. No sense of logical minded person, it makes sense to them. So what are you doing? There is just a bhav. It's not an action now. That utpatti of the bhav that has happened, the action is just a means now. Through that means, what has got invoked is a devotee. वो भाव जो बन गया है ना, वो एक attitudinal shift आ गया है. Once this attitudinal shift has come, within those stotras itself will be, as he says, the whole world is an expression of this Bhagwan. If you are a Ganesha devotee, the whole expression is Ganesha. If you are a Shiva devotee, the whole thing is Shiva. If you are a Vishnu devotee, the whole thing, if you are a Devi, in all of them it will be the same thing. So now what has happened is, see in everyone the same form. Now gradually the Ishta, the form from your mind, is getting expanded and getting inclusive. It's becoming vyapak. That's the mental expansion that we talk of. That vyapakta that happens in the mind is a characteristic change in a person. Your character changes at that point. It is no longer the self-oriented, selfish person. Your character has changed. It has now become an inclusive person. And you are able to include all forms of life, dhire dhire you find, and very slowly the sensitivity in your human expression starts to come. There is emotional sensitivity, there is an intellectual sensitivity. These are words, intellectual sensitivity means now you are able to appreciate very fine things. The breeze of the morning breeze, the movement of the bird, small things are now sources of joy because everything starts to get connected to the life force. That life force was represented at starting point was that, and this now has got expanded. Once your mind is able to hold on at any point, whenever you want to, it doesn't have to be an active memory all the time. But you know that whenever you want, you just touch upon it and it's never forgotten. It's like you don't remember that my name is Deepti all the time. If somebody asks me, the first thought that comes is it's Deepti, because that knowledge is now steady. I don't have to be making it a conscious knowledge all the time. But it is not a forgotten knowledge. It's in the background. I know my name. I don't have to invoke it all the time. In the same way, when this Ishta Devta has become a connecting point and has spread, that now has become Vishwarupa. The whole world is this Ishvara expression. With that attitude now, when there is worship, it could be physical, but very likely it is that the physical actions may drop by then. Your puja may get only symbolized by lighting a lamp. Your puja may get symbolized only by agarbatti, or even not, because by now your mind is connected to totality. It is no longer just this, there is this whole view in your mind steady with you. Pujanam was in the physical form because it is the easiest to introduce. Then came japa. Speech is also there. So many pujas you find there is a parayanam, there is a mantra chanting. So you're employing this to accentuate the karma. So physical done action is getting aided by speech, or your speech is primary and you are just doing some symbolic physical action. So when the speech is primary, that way of introducing Ishvara to yourself is japa. Japa means what? These are Smriti verses, because in original Vedic context is how I connect Vedas and Vedanta. All these aspects are not necessary. Karma means there's a deity, and it's a very clean expression. But as time passed on, there is a lot of Puranic method of worship, because original Shruti methods are lost now. So japa, made up of two words, and in Smriti it is given as there are two different sources, and slight word variations are there, but the meaning is the same. Jakaro means japa mein two words, ja and pa. Jakar of the japa means janma vichhedaha. It breaks the cycle of janma. Pakaraha is papa nashanaha. Is attributed to becoming a destroyer of wrong actions. Pap phal. Janma karma haro yasmat. Because it takes away, haro, destroys, janma and karma. Yasmat, therefore, japa iti uchyate. Therefore, japa means the very act of japa. It's called japa when it destroys the cycle, means it cuts away the cycle of janma and marana, samsara, based on karma, which we have understood very clearly now. How? By destroying karma phal, papa nashanaha. Tasmat iti prokta janma papa vinashakaha. That's only a slight difference in the meaning. So what is japa? The broadest outline, it is that action whose result is that it destroys pap and also therefore destroys samsar, gati. Japa is that action. Now, what are the types of japa? How do you do japa? Japa can be nama japa, just the naam. Naam means name of a deity, name of some Bhagwan. Or it can be mantra japa. Mantra japa or nama japa. The significant factor of japa is it's an avritti. Vritti is thought. Avritti is repetition of the same thought. So avritti means one flowing after the other. When the same thought is flowing one after the other, means same idea, same thought is repeated one after the other again and again, it becomes japa. So supposing, my famous example used to be, in the very initial stages, in modern times, if you don't have this background, this word gets used in a very liberal sense. Supposing I say the principle is repeat to your mind. That's the principle. Now you can repeat anything. You can repeat, like I used to say initially, there were 5 japas I gave to everybody in the class. One of them was no complaints, supposing. Do it as a japa. No complaint, 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 no complaint. My God, it is transformational if you just do it. Because suddenly you realize a lot of energy of our day just goes about complaining things that are changeless, that are never, it just needs our acceptance, and we refuse to go into that accepting mode because our ragdvesh is involved around it, our wishes, our desires, so much is happening. Now, japa means only repetition. That means it's going to strengthen an idea. It's going to give validity, force to an idea. So what will happen when you go on saying no japa, no complaints, no complaints, no complaints, no complaints, no complaints, no complaints? Within a week's time, less than time, that also, the minute you start complaining about something, the thought pops up. No complaints. Because it's gained force. It's gained strength. Your complaining nature already has a certain strength. And in Vedanta, we become very, very objective because it's not me complaining. In Avidya, we are a complaining lot. So whatever we are given, we will find deficiency in it because we are looking for Purnatvam. So there is nothing perfect that is ever going to be giving us full happiness. So we accept it. But here, the minute this complaining strength of mine, that nature had acquired, now suddenly this force builds up. No complaints. Avritti has the benefit of that. And whatever you will repeat to yourself, that gains strength and that becomes a reality. That is why it's a very watchful state. Yeah, someone's asked, give me the rest of the japas. Honestly speaking, I have forgotten. This is the only one I remember now. At that time, it's like 25, 30 years. Now I don't even remember what are the other japas. It was a very inspired state. And to get people to get into this understanding, eventually, that was the starting point. Now I have forgotten maybe. I don't know if somebody ever remembers their notes. But so I'm sorry I can't help you there. If I recollect anything at any point, I'll definitely mention. So avritti is the main point. And here the context is also very different. So please try and follow the context also. Avritti here is now nama or mantra. What is a mantra? Mantra comes from two words. There is dhatu, root, man. Man is to think, and trai dhatu, after in its usable form, is to protect. The meaning of the word trai, trayate, trai, to protect. Mantra is mannat trayate iti mantraha. Mannat, जो बार बार मन के थ्रू थिंकिंग, कॉन्टेम्पलेशन, मन में जो बार बार जो चलेगा, which is of the nature of protecting. जो thoughts चल रहे हैं, उन thoughts का nature is to protect. Mannat, through that, mannat, through this thinking, by this thinking, by the manan of which one is protected, relatively, as in sansara mein, ease in life, and absolutely as in moksha siddhi. Mantra wahi banta hai, whose nature is to protect. So not all words, like I just said, no complaints. Even though I may use it to say in the sense of the principle of japa, because of the repetitive element, but no complaint does not have the nature of protection beyond a point. It has, therefore, to that an extent it is, but no complaint. Mantra has other 6 elements in it, which I have not brought here. It has a rishi, it has a devata, it has a chandas, it has a kilakam. All those things have to be also done along with it, which makes it a mantra, which now has an Ishvara in it. No complaints is just an attitude. Better attitude than complaining. So, mantra avritti. You can have a mantra avritti as a japa, or you can simply have a nama avritti as a japa. Now, what are the types of japas? As we've said, it's going to be predominantly oral. Again, from the help of Smriti Granthas, Trividho japa yajnaha syat tasya bhedam nibodhata. 3 types of japa yajna. In Bhagavad Gita, Krishna tells, of all the forms of worship and yajna, I am the japa yajna. Means that's the highest importance. That's the importance of japa. Yajna means, in a simple way, of course, it indicates a worship. It's something in which you are putting an offering. In the Havan Kund, kuch dal rahe ho aap. And then all the flow of whatever actions unseen, and then you get the receipt of some prasad and you distribute it and have it. This is a general attitude around yajna. Of all the forms of worship in which you are offering something about yourself, japa is the highest, Krishna says. 3 kinds there is. What are they? Vachikascha upamshushcha manasa trividhaha smritaha. According to the Smriti, vachika, oral, loud. It's just going to say somewhere else, I think next one. Vachika means just spoken, loudly, audible. Upamshu is softly. Manasa, in the mind. So when japa is done loudly, when it is done softly, and when it is done only mentally. These are 3 types. To each one of them, trayanam japa yajnanam shreyan syat uttarottaraha. Of these 3 kinds, the preceding one is lesser than the later one. That means the best of them, shreyan, one later is more shreyaha, better than the previous one. So which is the best?
Mentally. Done mentally.
Manas will become the best. Mentally done will become the best. Now he gives each one of them what is called loud japa, what is called upamshu japa, what is called manasa japa. Yat uccha nicha swarataihi shabdaihi spashta pada aksharaihi. That which is repeated, uccha nicha swarataha. I said in the Sahana Bhavatu, those marks that you saw, the lines uppar, niche, and they are the swaras. Yat uccha swara, nicha swara, swarataha swara. When the words are chanted with their swaras, clearly, spashta pada, each pada is said clearly, along with, in simple language, with intonation. When you have chanted it with their intonation, then mantram ucharaye vacha vachikaha ayam japaha smritaha. When it is spoken in its intonation with the matras, the swaras, each word articulately, that is vachika japa. Then shanaihi ucharayet mantram, mantramashat, oshthav na chalayet. Shanaihi, very softly, slowly. The volume is hardly there. Ucharayet, but it is still, ucharan is going on of the mantra. Oshtho, the lips, na chalayet. So if I'm saying Om Namah Shivaya, the lips are heard. Oshtho na chalayet means Om Namah Shivaya. It's so soft. Om Namah Shivaya. 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 I don't know if you can hear. So you can hardly see the lips moving, but Om Namah Shivaya. Om Namah Shivaya. Om Namah Shivaya. Lot of people, you can actually see the difference if you're repeating it like this, loudly when you say it, upamshu when you say it. Aparai, what is the defining factor of upamshu? Aparaha na shrutaha. If someone is sitting next to you also, aparaha. तुमसे दूर थोड़ा सा अलग बैठा है, न श्रुतः, cannot hear it. It's so soft. So another person cannot hear it. Kinchit, cannot hear it even a little. So what will they be saying? What are you mumbling? That's probably what they can just about hear some sound, but they don't know what you're saying. What are you mumbling? Kinchit, they can't hear it. Saha upamshu japaha smritaha. That form of japa is upamshu. Then third one, dhyayat akshara shrenyam. Dhyayat akshara shrenyam. Varnat varna padatyadam. Dhya, in your mind. Yat akshara shrenyam. Every akshara, varnat varna, of every letter, each, of every word, each letter of the word. Pada is the word. Shabdartha chintanam bhupa. Along with the meaning of those words. Shabda artha chintanam. When you think about them. When you are reflecting on them. Kathyate manaso japaha. That is called manasa japa. So in manasa japa, it is the highest in order, but it also involves what? What does it involve?
Understanding the meaning.
Shabda artha. So unless until there is the meaning understood, you can't do manas japa. It'll only be mechanical. You can, but it'll be mechanically repeating it. If you mechanically repeat it, it's a totally different kind. It's not negated, but in the order of higher and higher, mechanical obviously will be the lowest. So these are the three kinds of. What is the purpose of japa? Correct. What is the purpose of any spiritual activity? All these. Puja, japa. Now we will do chintanam, and chintanam would mean upasana. We'll do that a little bit. But predominantly speaking, what is the purpose of this? As I started, our minds are dissipated into a lot of things. It doesn't have a center. It doesn't have a focus other than my deha buddhi. Deha buddhi means this deha, I am, dehoham, I am this name, I am this form, I am born, I will die, and after that all my people, my children, my house, my mama starts later. This aham, that I am this body, I am this form, is the base for everyone. This mind is a very, like we did in Tattva Bodha, I wanted to bring that slide. Remember the monkey mind? We did it in the workshop, jumping from one branch to another branch. Thoughts, we are full of thoughts of varying nature and varying intensities. Mind is thought of varying nature and varying intensity of each thought. And many thoughts are not even registered by us. Natural state of the mind is behta hai. Indriyon ke dwar se behta hai. I gave the example at that time. If a river doesn't have beds, then the water flows in all directions. The 5 horses that Krishna holds in Mahabharata as a depiction, those 5 horses, 5 indriyas, if Krishna is not a strong holder of the rein, if the jiva doesn't have that capacity to control this, the mind dissipates the person. You are an ineffective person, you are dissipated, etc. So the purpose of all this is a mind which has so many thoughts, and by their nature they are forceful and If a jiva individual is not controlling them, doesn't have knowledge of control, this mind wrecks the person. उसको agitated बना देता है, उसको दुखी बनाता है, मन उसको परेशान करता है. In Hindi, if I put it. What is the nature of japa now? Originally, if I don't have a time given to myself for a japa, supposing, उस वक्त मेरा मन क्या कर रहा होगा? Supposing I say, now, as per the Shastras thing, Sandhya time is the time when you try and do these spiritual activities. Sandhya means the break of dawn, the break of noon, and the break of just at the dusk time. 3 times, there are 5 times. No? These are the most ideal times to do these activities. Now, if japa is not taken as a conscious action, now I hope you can see it. It's a conscious action. It's a karma. It's a deliberation. It's like exercising the physical body. If I want to have better muscles, I have to exercise. I cannot have it mentally. I am going to the gym. Every day, mentally, I'm going to the gym. Why am I not getting muscle? Because after all, it's a karma. I am doing mental karma of going to the gym. I do more reps mentally than I do actually physically. Because once I go to the physical gym, I can only do 10. But mentally, I can do 100. But no effect. Because they are not directly related. Mentally, you can do anything you want. It will have no effect on your physical body. Now, in fact, it will have the counter effect of your by not moving your body and only moving it mentally, all the contrary results will come. Am I making sense with this? है ना? उल्टा हो जाएगा. जो करने वाली चीज थी वो नहीं की और सिर्फ मन से उसको करते गए तो उसका असर उल्टा होगा. Now you will put on weight, your muscles will go flax, everything will happen because mentally you're only doing what is actually supposed to be done physically. Now, this mind which is dissipated everywhere, if at that time I have not what I have chosen for my introduction of the exercise, if I do not do it, mind is anyway busy doing what it is doing. Khali to wo hai nahi. So supposing at dawn I said I will get up at dawn and do, in this context it's japa, supposing I'll do this much japa of this whatever. Now if I skip it that day, what is happening to the mind? Or if I'm doing oral or whatever I'm doing, what is happening at that exact time?
It moves around. It thinks about.
It's busy doing something else. And what will it do? It is not going to be, unless you have done that exercise before, it is not going to think about some daivi aspect, some alaukik nature activity. It is not going to be an activity which has introduced the thought of Ishvara. It is not going to be that on its own till you've got into the habit. So the purpose is the avritti. Understand the principle. Avritti means ek ke baad, ek ke baad, ek ke baad. Now, if I have to go on repeating, and now we have understood, japa doesn't mean mechanically, mala haath mein jap rahe, man sab jagah ghum raha hai. There is a doha of Kabir, mala haath mein jap ke, mind is anywhere and everywhere running around. Japa, it will only be when your mind is supporting that action. That means one after another, if your mind has to stay on the same thought. Now, supposing I just say, just for exercise, I'll repeat few times. I'll only do Om now, just for the sake of exercise, because we've already shot the time. I say Om, 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 Om. Om, 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 Did anything happen? Just on hearing also.
Yeah, I mean, your mind stayed on the Om and it thought about, you know, some god that you symbolize with him. I mean,
Right,
personally, he's Shivji. So,
right, right. Now, the minute you go on repeating one thought, and that thought is not representing another object in the world. Now we'll repeat T, T, T. I can't hear you. Now what's happening the minute I say T, 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 T?
chai,
What
chai
happened?
chahiye. You just want to
चाय
have tea.
चाहिए. Instantly चाय चाहिए. मतलब धीरे धीरे, because the word has a meaning and that meaning is associated with an object. You can only have two nature thought, मुझे चाहिए कि मुझे नहीं चाहिए उसके बाद. But what happens when you have the nature of a thought which is not a part of creation, no object in creation? That thought is trayate, is a protector. It lifts you up. A drowning jiva, drowning mind, ahankar mein, rag dvesh mein, samsar mein, something has to lift the person. That thought lifts the person. Not only that, now watch again. Om, 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 Om. What happened? Thought started, thought lasted, thought ended, silence. Thought started, thought lasted, thought ended, silence. Now, when you are focusing, say, only on thought initially, because that's the japa you have taken, very gradually with practice, what will happen? Awareness of the thought and the awareness of the absence of the thought, both are registered first, and ultimately the awareness of the absence and the presence of the thought is now just awareness. That didn't change. All that happened was, in that awareness, thought came and thought went. The awareness revealed. The thought reveals the absence of thought. So this manaha, mind, which is before the spiritual practices, is completely involved with laukik activity, dunya and khana and pinna and rishte and ye and wo and everything. भरा हुआ है, जैसे जैसे बड़े होते हैं ये मन भरता है. With the introduction of these, very gradually I'm only saying because to have patience is a virtue in these activities. The fact that this nature of action introduced to oneself, ultimately, finally, that chitta, remember the definition of chitta, that chitta now has ekagrata.
Yeah.
It not only has shuddhi, it now has ekagrata. Because that it remained on a thought focus, what in general words you would say, focused mind. So it is a focused mind, it is a balanced mind. It is a mind that is now anchored. It's a transformed aspect. It's a Samskrita mind. It's now got the right knowledge. It has now got the right equipments. It is now equipped. It is now uh, strengthened with the right attitudes. It's got purity, it's got clarity, uh, it's got firmness, it's got determination, it's resolute. All those that are gifts to human mind, that is by nature valuable to human being. Now as a human being, you are an equipped human being. इससे कुछ भी करोगे दुनिया में, everything will be fine. And इधर उधर कुछ कर ही नहीं सकोगे. In other words, गलत काम होंगे ही नहीं फिर. Once you are developed, your mind will not attach itself to wrong things. Okay. So we'll continue later. You have a question, Aditi?
Yes, Deepti. I was saying that, like in Tattva Bodha, we did, Shitoshna Sukha Dukha Adi Sahishnutvam. So that was also like by saying it again and again, like Aaj Thand hai, for instance, in that example, like Aaj Thand hai, Thand hai, Thand hai. I'm like just reinforcing that thought. So, I mean, it's the step that comes before this. Earlier, I would keep reinforcing that thought and saying ki thande thande, so I'd feel colder, right? But the minute I stop saying it and replace that thought maybe with something that's more divine, I will probably, not want or not feel that. Eventually, I mean.
Yes. Yes. Same principle, no? So in other words, what we are saying is the nature of mind is to get to object of thought. So if it is going to be thinking about something in the world, it will get attached to that.
Yeah.
उस पकड़ लेगा, युक्त होगा उससे. And if it is, that's why all these practices are deliberate. Give it something which is of the nature of upliftment, so that your mind can hold that. If it doesn't have that to hold, it will hold all this. Because
Exactly.
उसको तो पकड़ना है कुछ ना कुछ.
I mean, whatever we invest our time in thinking about, that's what we will become. As in, like, we are our thoughts, right? So,
Correct. Absolutely. Whatever you invest your time in thinking is what you become. And that is relative. It is still binding you.
yeah.
Any other question? So we'll continue tomorrow. And tomorrow will be the Chintanam part of it. So then I think now you will have a whole view of what that karma meant. And then as the book proceeds, there's still a little book more. And then it, from next 15th verse onwards, once this mind has got purified, equipped, then starts Atma Vichar. And what is that process also? Ramana gives very clearly in the book.
Diksha, I have one question with reference to the book. Should we be reading the book parallelly to your explanation to your classes? Or
Sorry,
like
should we be?
reading the verses, before your classes, after your classes? I just want to understand, how we should do it.
Yeah, please read it before, during, after, whenever, because this is an opportunity to clarify anything else. I'm trying to, in the class, I'm taking more than what is, like all these verses can't be put in the book. So, but like the Nishkam aspect has been mentioned in the book, which I'm not touching too much on this class. So if you are reading it along with this, that's absolutely the best. Before, during, after, whenever you, so that it consolidates. Because finally, the objective is, at least my objective in taking this in this way, is that when the essence is drawn from it, the words have to drop. And like today I said, it doesn't matter Purva Mimamsaka kaun hai. But till I know that point of view, I can't drop it. So once the knowledge is revealed itself, I don't need to hang on to the words. So this way, once I get the idea of what the Vedas were orienting to human life and how we benefit from it, follow it, and how it becomes a discipline to be brought into life, this book has, in a short way, helped us to condense the whole karma kand, and अलग-अलग चीजों में अलग-अलग part होगा, which now nobody has so much time to go through. So this gives us the overview. Then we are able to select for ourselves once we know the importance, and then the Shravanam of Vedanta, and how automatically the words will now mean differently when the mind is mature. So please read the book. Yes, along with thank you. Okay. Thank you, Ji, and thank you, everyone. Okay.
सर्वेषां स्वस्तिर्भवतु सर्वेषां शान्तिर्भवतु सर्वेषां पूर्णं भवतु सर्वेषां मङ्गलं भवतु सर्वे भवन्तु सुखिनः सर्वे सन्तु निरामयाः सर्वे भद्राणि पश्यन्तु मा कश्चित् दुःखभाग् भवेत् ॐ स्वस्ति प्रजाभ्यः परिपालयन्तां न्यायेन मार्गेण महीं महिषाः गोब्राह्मणेभ्यः शुभमस्तु नित्यं लोकाः समस्ताः सुखिनो भवन्तु काले वर्षतु पर्जन्यः पृथ्वी सस्यशालिनी देशो यः शोभरहितः ब्राह्मणाः सन्तु निर्भयाः
Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. See you tomorrow, everyone. Namaste. Thank you.
अच्छा दीप्ति जी प्रणाम
Pranam.
Thank you.